Hello, I'm Marvin Pierce, dog teacher. We're here at Stella
Olson
Memorial Park in Sherwood, Oregon. We're doing our Facebook Live feed tonight here. And each week we might try to move to different locations. So if you got a spot in your area you'd like for us to come to, let us know. And we're here tonight to demonstrate to people that you can open your doors on your cars and teach your dogs to stay in. This dog's Willow. This may be the first time she's been in town. I'm not real sure. I have a leash on her, but I do have her tied just for safety purposes because I'm not 100% sure she won't get in trouble if she gets out. So when I got her in the car today, she wouldn't load. I finally got her to load it in once we got here really well. But I put her in a crate. She was traumatized again to have to ride in a crate. So for me, that's part of what we do here, and we just try to get dogs more comfortable with us. And so we're going to pan over to here. Daria has her dog, Baron, in her car. And he's not tied, by the way. He probably don't even have a leash on. And he's just waiting for her to get him out or ask him out. And he does this every day, I think. When he comes to the ranch, he always rides in the car without him being tied in. He has a panel in, whatever. But when she opens the door, he can't bail out of her vehicle until she asks him. And the same thing about loading. When she opens the back hatch on her car, he can't load until she asks him to load. And then over here behind Brett, we have another dog. This is Dobie. He's going to be, or Bodie. He's going to be one of the dogs that we're going to work with today. And we're going to work with him today in the city because he doesn't do real good in town. So he's great at the ranch everywhere. I mean, he just has a problem in town, so we're going to work with him here. And we're going to start out here with him. We're going to have Suzanne to call him to her, and he'll come to her, and she's going to get him to sit. She may have to work with him for a second or two just because he's not used to being in town, like I said. So we're going to give it a try. Brett, are you ready?
Ready.
All right. Suzanne, would you call Bodie?
Sounds good, actually. Yeah,
Good boy. And so now, if you'd like, you can put your leash on him. And we just want to show you here with him. This is more traumatizing for Suzanne than it is Bodie. Because she offered to loan me her dog last night, and I volunteered her too. So it's fun for me to see the difference with him. And so now we're just going to work the dog for a few minutes. I don't know if we can do questions and answers or not. I'm not sure where Daria is on that. But I'm going to let this dog out. And she jumped out before I asked her to, and I'm okay with that, just because of the fact that this is pretty traumatizing anyway. I'm going to invite this dog's mom over to work with her. Does anybody have an extra leash?
I do.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hey there, boys.
What you guys doing?
Oh, we're doing some videoing on some dogs.
Oh.
What are you all doing?
Going home.
All right, be safe.
I'd say.
So I'm going to let Mom have her dog. Don't love her up so much. She's starting to jump on you. And so now I'm going to work with Bodie. And see, Bodie's doing fine for me, for you. And me, this is what I expected for you and him. Even though we are here when bicycles going by and people going by. I mean, I expect for your dog to be good. And so will you try to load your dog in the car? In my car? Good girl. No, just pat her. And like I said, when I left the house a while ago, this was traumatizing. She wouldn't get in my car. I had to put her in the car. She wouldn't go in her crate, so I had to force feed her in the crate. And now she's just okay with it. So now just back up here some. So now I'll call her to you. So now, Dari, are you going to bring your dog out so everybody can see the beast? And this is, like I said, this is Baron. A lot of times people don't get to see him on our Facebook Live feed. And he's a giant schnauzer. And how old is Baron now?
He's 3.
3 years old. And Dari got him, she flew back east somewhere and got him when he was like 8 weeks old or 10 weeks old or whatever. And she's done the training on him, and he comes to the ranch every day. Bianca, you want to get Scout out so we can introduce him? And tonight we're going to introduce all the dogs that we use on the ranch. And would you bring Bodie over, please? And for us, all these dogs, well, Willow, we use him now, or her, because Dari takes her out on walks with packs of dogs, road customers, finds dogs, and other people. And she does great. So it's fun to see the difference with the dogs when we really start using them as ranch dogs with those dogs. And like I said, this is Willow. How old is Willow?
It was a year and a half.
A year and a half? Mm-hmm. And I feel that when she came to the ranch 3 weeks ago, she was like really traumatized. And now she's just cool with the whole world. She likes everybody. She likes all the dogs. She plays with dogs. She even likes you without having to worry about you. And so, and like I said, this is Larry's dog. And he's just cool. I mean, he just hangs at the house all the time when she's up there. You can find Baron stuff anywhere in the bedroom, bathroom, in a horse stall sometimes. I mean, in her office, wherever she needs to leave it. And then we have Bodie, of course, Suzanne, and he comes up to the ranch a lot now. She comes up, volunteers, and works dogs with us and stuff. And he's just cool. And the fun thing for me is with Suzanne and Bodie. This morning you were traumatized. And now, did most of those problems not go away today? And he's got a dog with a barking at him. He can really care less. He's looking over if he don't care. I think if you wouldn't have talked to me this morning, he would have been barking at me. And he would have been having problems. But a lot of times those problems are that simple to fix with the right hand, right help. And I go back to the videos I see all the time on the internet. Everybody's talking about, don't try this at home alone. You know, have professional help. And a lot of the stuff's really true with these dogs. But a lot of times, if you get a professional to help you, it changes the whole world with them. So, and now we have Scout. Bianca, she's a trainer at the ranch now. She trains dogs with us. And she came there 6 months ago, 8 months ago, Bianca?
Yeah.
With Scout, and she was like traumatized. She was having lots of trouble with him. And now he's just a cool dog. And she don't even have a leash because she loaned it to me and I loaned it to somebody else. So, Scout's got to behave. But I feel that that's what makes a lot of difference with these dogs at the facility is we get an opportunity to put them in a lot of different scenarios, situations with different people and different dogs, and it makes them better. So, do we have any questions? Sorry?
Look back in.
We are taking questions, by the way. And we're on, this is only going to be, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes or whatever. We're going to bail out of here. But it is fun to do this. This is the first one we've done like this. A few weeks ago, Dari and I think Bianca, and were you with me at Newburgh and they went for a walk? They went and walked through Newburgh with a pack dogs and some different people with them and worked on things with dogs. But for me, the only way you make this kind of dog is get them in this kind of situation. Like for me, I'm excited because Willow's over here trying to check things out. She's not like so possessed with mommy that she just got to be touched all the time. And it makes it a lot of fun because she sees shadows. And don't let her chase them.
She's like, oh my gosh, there's a light.
Here, let me see. And for me, with a dog like this, when it tries to chase shadows, it's just a bad habit. They shouldn't hunt for shadows. If they see a shadow, they should be able to start controlling themselves and not have to go crazy. And the bad thing about this, for me, a lot of people do the little laser light. That can be traumatizing for a dog. Cats, I don't know if it bothers cats so bad, but dogs can lose their mind over it because later on they will chase every shadow, light, anything they see, they just get possessed with it.
Even off of a deck. I have a friend who, their dog was a shadow chaser. It was like a 42-foot balcony. The dog flew right over it.
Did you see that big old dog just walked behind you?
The St. Bernard?
No, it's black and white dogs.
Oh, the St. Bernard was
Yeah, that one went that way. But Bodie's seen it, but he didn't care. He never did tighten his leash. So it's pretty cool to see the difference. But for me, the thing is here with Willow, you started tightening your leash to make your dog quit. And for me, it only makes it more intense. Where me, I just rattle his cage a few times and it's like, all right, maybe I don't want to chase that shit. She's looking at it, but she's not losing. Yeah, she's not losing her mind trying to chase
It's like, now I'm going to control myself here.
Yes. So what we're going to do here is we're going to have you load Now don't let her out. Don't hold her. Just put your hand at her. Now we're going to have Dari load Baron. Now we're going to have you load your dogs. Just drop your leash. Now leave your door open, just have him stay. Now Bianca, we'll have you load Scout and with Willow.
Okay. Let's go. Up. Load up. Load up.
Scout's like, that ain't my ride.
Let's go. Load up.
Just back him up and let him make a run at it.
Go. Load up.
Good boy. Now just have him stay, not in the front seat, please. And now see with Scout, he's never loaded in this car, and he probably hasn't loaded in a lot of cars. So he's loaded in your pickup and your car probably. So it's pretty fun that he loaded up in there without you having to have a leash and that. But for me, I had 100% confidence that he would. Don't let him out.
Ah, good boy.
See there, she just asked him to stay, and he did. And for me, that's a lot of difference with these dogs. And 6 months ago, there ain't no way he would have done any of the above. But 6 months ago, you wouldn't have had the confidence.
Correct.
And the big thing is for confidence for me always is confidence is free. And like I was telling Suzanne at the house this morning, that her dog problem was, I think, more Suzanne than the dog. And she misunderstood something I'd said one time. And I feel that maybe she was using the wrong words. And they didn't make enough sense to the dog in a way that he could understand that he was being wrong. And so she just changed those few things, and to me, it's a totally different dog now. And I see the confidence that you have now versus what you had this morning. But I also see the difference in the confidence you have now than you had when you drove in, because you've actually seen it work. And there's no better way to build confidence than somebody actually doing it. You know, me, I'm that way. You can show me something all day, but if you let me do it, I'll get it. You got something? So did you have any questions?
I do not.
Nobody questions us?
Questions?
Nobody questions us.
No, nobody on Facebook?
Oh, no.
Oh, reach through the phone. So, for me, I had a lesson, I don't even know how long ago, 2, 3, 4 years ago, from somebody that I do not remember. She came to the house today with that Untitled Chapter.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
The lady that owned the dog rode with the other lady. The other lady knew me because she owned the property where I caught the big cattle. Me and Jason and Jody and Rick Boder and all those. And the one where we went by big Peterbilt trucks in the garages, barns and shit with the cows on ropes. We roped them down, tore down fences. I mean, it was like a wreck waiting to happen. And so this lady shows up today, and it goes to show people the difference with people. She came to me, she said she took 1 or 2 lessons with her dog, and she went home and she fixed both dogs. But she said, I am a person that if you tell me something, show me something, I can take it and run with it. And so she did. And I said, well then why are we here? She's like, I tried to fix her dog, but I can't fix her. So she's like, I would love to learn to work with people like I do. And she said, the dog thing, I think I have. But for me, with dog training, I feel it's like any other type of training. It doesn't matter how good I am with a dog if I can't communicate with people. It doesn't work so well. And that was her problem. So she said she's thinking about trying to come and learn from me how to work with the people side of it. So when she retires in a few years, she can train a few dogs and help a few people. And I thought it was pretty cool. She lives in Scappoose or something.
Yeah, she looks like Scappoose.
And then when they started leaving, she was having trouble with the other lady's dog, and I corrected the dog and showed her how. And the next time I see her, she will not have that issue.
No.
I think she's that handy. And some people are, and some people, like I said, are not. Some people it takes a lot more. But she is a person who came into my facility with confidence that she could do it. She just needed the knowledge.
goes in the bucket.
And most people come into my place and they're like beat down, and their dog's just a wreck to them, and they have no idea. And you can show them and tell them, and then sometimes they don't get it. You, for instance, did you think your dog would be this cool 3 weeks?
No, absolutely
weeks.
not.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
2 weeks, yeah.
She's cool. But it took a week and a half just to get her to come out of her shell and act like other dogs. And I feel that was me. At first, I worried that Willow had a mental problem because she just did not act like a dog.
Mm-hmm.
And then it seemed like overnight, after a week and a half, whatever it was, she just came out of her shell and started meeting us at the gate on her kennel instead of laying in the bed in the back hiding. And she started playing with other dogs and hanging with other dogs. So for me, that's exciting. And to see how excited you are with her now is awesome, you know, because now I already see you that you got confidence that you can be cool with your dog. And so it makes it a lot more fun. And Suzanne's the same way with her dog. Suzanne's been there from, I don't know what, 6 months or so now, hanging out with us.
7, yeah.
And now her dog's just cool. When he comes in, we'll use her dog to help us with dogs because he's a cool dog. And Suzanne does a great job, and now she volunteers at the house and works dogs with us all the time. Well, 2 days a week. Once in a while she'll show up the other time. The majority of the time is 2 days a week. And now I feel that any dog that's reasonably started out of the bad behavior, Suzanne can take them and make them better dogs. So it's fun to have that kind of help around here. And then, of course, Dari, she always works dogs with us when she can because she loves to work them too. And her and I we don't agree on a lot of different, I shouldn't say a lot, but a few different training methods. You know, she likes to give people paper towels and hug them and tell them to be okay. And I'll push them under the bus. So.
That's why I get more presents.
Yeah, and I don't get shit. Well, actually, somebody brought me a fifth of whiskey. But I think they only did that because they know I don't drink. But I give it to Dari.
One of our viewers asked if the intention of us going to town was the additional distractions.
For sure,
Absolutely.
always. I mean, that's exactly the reason we came to town, is to show people. Because for me, it don't matter how good a dog we make on the farm for somebody who's going to go to the city. It doesn't help a lot. I mean, it helps a lot. It's huge because we can put the foundation. And we can actually go to, how are you? Great. We can actually get the foundation on our dogs that they understand. Just like with Bodie, Suzanne's been having a lot of trouble with Bodie in town. And now I don't think he's an issue in town. Now, if I wasn't there and Suzanne was uptight, then it would be a little bit different, but I feel now that Suzanne can snap out of it and straighten that out because she knows deep down in her own mind that he can act like this in town. And that's huge for people. So yes, the reason we came to town, I don't even know why we ended up here tonight. I think Brett threw me under the bus about sitting on a comfortable couch in the office talking about dog training. So I'm like, well, shit, we'll just go down. I don't care. And me, I don't care. I've been to Mississippi, worked dogs in Kansas, Missouri. I don't care. It doesn't bother me where I go. But I think it is cool to come to town and work with these dogs. And we didn't bring no really bad problem dogs, but we will one day. We'll bring a dog, or we'll invite somebody in with a dog. For me, I've been like Ace Hardware in Newburgh and done problem dog members. I think you were involved with that. Because that was what, 4, 5, or 10 years ago?
It's been a long time ago.
I seen a post on Facebook a while back about it. It popped back up for a memory thing, but I don't care. I mean, I went to Pomona, California, Sacramento, Richfield, Washington, Albany, Oregon, wherever to work dogs with problems, and I don't mind that.
But Tim, I mean, to be fair, Bodie was supposed to be our problem dog.
He
And
was, but it didn't work.
He's being
Good
perfection.
job, Suzanne.
Now, Suzanne, will you come
Problem
back
dog
over here?
fail.
Come back over here and call him out.
Bodie's not.
See, that's pretty cool. I mean, and we had a problem dog all set up, but it was him, but he failed.
Problem dog fail.
Yeah, he failed.
He
the
passed.
problem
You're
He
gonna
was
fail at
supposed to
something.
fail.
That's what it should be.
So now, will you come over here?
Yeah, sure.
Now, call your dog. Good. Tell her good right there. Now, Bianca, will you call Scout?
Go. Lay down.
Here, Bianca. Here.
You stay.
How you doing tonight?
Just doing good, thanks.
Beautiful evening out to be walking the dogs.
That's for sure.
Hope no back right on the front.
You guys taking pictures here?
What's that?
It's a photo shoot.
Oh, yeah, well, we're doing Facebook Live.
Oh,
You like to walk your dogs up behind us?
sure. Come on, guys. Come on, baby. She's afraid of other dogs. I figure when she was a puppy, she might have been attacked or something, you know?
We got a gentleman came through with a couple dogs, and so we invited him to get us pictures of his dogs on our Facebook Live feed. We have someone else over there with a dog. Do y'all know him?
Did he come with you? That's my friend.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, that's a service dog, actually. Oh, have him come over.
Everybody knows? Because we're just here to have some fun, work some dogs, and answer some questions.
Derek.
And we've only had one question. So, that we know of anyway. I see everybody grabbing their phones to look see
Someone asked, what do you think of dog parks?
what? Dog park?
Someone asked what you think of dog parks. What do you think?
Well, for me, when it comes to dog parks, I built one actually. I built one dog park years ago. Dog parks can be awesome if they're, I feel, used in the correct way. There's sometimes people go to dog parks to try to fix dog problems, or they go there just to let their dogs run and play, and they don't have a situation under control, so they end up getting their dogs in trouble. I know the Newburgh Dog Park years ago. I talked to some people, and I've been there, and then I went on the Facebook Live, or I went on to the dog park and watched them on Facebook Live, or on their Facebook page. And one person will get on there and ask another person if they will go to the dog park and let their dog play with their dog because they know the dogs. So that makes a lot of difference whenever you're setting yourself up to win. But if you go to the dog park with a really hyper dog that you can't control, and you put them in a situation with another hyper dog, if you're not careful, then it's a dog fight. And so I probably wouldn't really take my dog to the dog park and throw him in with a random dog. I'd make sure the dog's there under control, and make sure I can control my dog. If we do it at the house constant, we'll have 8 or 10, 15 dogs out in our playground, and then we'll bring out a new dog and put them in. Yesterday I put a new dog in Claire, and she started dog fighting. But 2 seconds later it was over with, and then she was good. And then today we've had her out here 3 different times in the pack, and she's been good. Have a good evening, sir. She's been really good with the pack, so it is that, whenever you get there, you just have to, I feel you got to have control of your dog and make sure the other dogs are good. So, do you have any questions, sir?
I don't, but if you guys, well, I have something to say. If you guys have something that you would like to see us do in town, shoot me a private message. I won't necessarily see it in the feed all the time, but if you shoot me a private message, we can put it on a list and maybe access some of the things that you all would like to see us bring to you.
You have any questions?
Yeah, thank you.
So you're pretty excited?
I'm pretty excited.
But your dog goes home, your dog food's in front seat of the car. And she's awesome. I mean, the biggest thing for me that I can never stress enough is always with yourself, or even with her. She took it really serious because she's looking. But when you go home with your dog and you got problems, get over to our institution. Okay? Don't go home and think your dog's not fixed or fixed for you. If you go home and you have a major issue with your dog, it's just not communicating. You two are not communicating with other people to figure it out. Okay? Suzanne, you got a question? Do you understand why your dog's so cool tonight compared to what he would have been that day like that? Huh?
Feeling like I'm a little more relaxed today and not as tense.
And you expect them to behave. You expect them to be mad. You will behave more. And, for me, with the electric collar, which I have on, I've got a 6-dog unit on. Dari's got a 3-dog unit. Suzanne has a 3-dog unit. I've got one in my pocket actually. But I feel that people misunderstand sometimes e-collar versus teaching. If you depend upon your e-collar, then your dog isn't trained. That makes sense? Anytime you depend on it, your dog isn't trained. Same thing.
Yeah.
You don't depend on yours. I mean, half the time you don't even have your controller. Actually, I brought your controller here tonight. So, yeah, you don't always have it. But once you get to that point where you depend on it at all times, then it doesn't do much. You gotta wean yourself from it. So I guess everybody can hear us okay. Nobody griping about can't hear me.
No. There's a couple people suggested that you have a mic.
Hey, that's a good plan.
That's my fault.
Some Someone had just asked another question. They said, if one of those dogs with the gentleman that walked by came by and their dog was barking, how would you have handled that situation?
I would pretend I was at home in my kennels and it was one of my dogs barking, because I wouldn't really get in that guy's business with his dogs, you know. His dogs are pretty cool. Now, me, I've been known more than once at a demo somewhere in an expos or something at my booth. People come by with an unruly dog that's dragging them or something, and I will ask them if they would like some help. But I always tell them that I'm really bored, which I normally am if I'm at an expo setting my booth. And I ask if they'd like some free help. And I've only ever once had a guy say no. When I was in Richfield, Washington, and I asked the guy if he'd like some help. And his dog was like, dragging his head out and all. He's like, I don't need no help. And I said, well, your dog told me he does. And the guy got really pissed and left. But it was a fact, his dog did need help. And so when you get into those situations, for me, I can't overstep my politeness most of the time and just be like, hey dude, you want to help your dog? He's a real jerk and I listen to you. I always try to ask somebody nicely. And like I said, I've only ever once had somebody that didn't let me help. But with this guy and his 2 dogs, I wouldn't offer to help because I don't think it would have done no good. So, you got a question, John? So, I don't know if you've announced it that you're training with us. I just did. So,
I am.
I didn't know you're supposed to do a thing on.
That video will be done shortly.
In progress.
So for
I'll
me,
take
then,
the blame for that.
you know, I think we have a lot of people who watch our Facebook Live feed now, right? So people come back to it later and watch stuff. So Bianca does train with us now. She's assistant trainer, Marvin first dog teacher, and we both welcomed her with open arms. Since the first day she came there with Scout as a problem dog, and it's been really fun. And for me, it's the same, like I said, with Suzanne. She helps us all the time with stuff. And for me, it's really fun to have all the apprentices. Well, we have 2 now, I guess. Now she's starting training with us. So it's really fun. And Dari and I, 2 years ago, when we started this venture, we one day wanted to have a trainer to work with us. And so now we have. And I mean, it's been a blessing for us, for her to come on board. And we all get along like a family. It's not like we all got to sneak around and worry about what one another says. I mean, I know I've hurt people's feelings in my kennels. I'm sure I've hurt yours, probably, well, maybe not yours.
More so when I was up for lessons.
Back in the day. But I never intentionally hurt anybody's feelings but one person. And that's the only time I've ever hurt somebody's feelings and not really cared. Because I do care about people and their dogs, you know. But sometimes it's really hard. I mean, and like the lady today said, she's a really sweetheart and nice lady, but she's the kind who I feel will tell you what she thinks. And I told her, sometimes the key to being a really good dog trainer, I think, is like the guy the other day told me that I really humbled him. But he was okay with it. And somebody said here the other day that they think I just bitch slapped and made them like it. And I'm like, cool, I stepped up a notch, you know? But I never intend that. I always want to be nice to people. But like I said, when Bianca comes on board, now she is, I want her to be more like me, not like her.
That means they won't be getting presents and I will.
Right. But we're okay, huh?
We're okay.
We don't have to carry napkins or paper towels or Kleenexes.
No, but I get coffee cups and lovely little treats.
I think we get more dogs.
We get more dogs because of you, not because of us. But we fix more dogs because of us, not because of you. So it makes sense?
Yeah.
Mark-
And it's fun for me, like I said. Sometimes I get a dog that we just have a super hard time with. And I feel there's times more than once when you've taken that dog and really changed its whole training process because of the way you are. And because you're a lady and I'm a man, some dogs don't like men so much, they like women more. But I feel the majority of the dogs I end up being good with, and they end up being good with me if they stay there for 3 or 4 years. But there's times when you'll work with a dog that's just been a jerk with me and doesn't want to get along with me and doesn't want to cooperate at all. She'll take it on, or Kay will.
Yeah.
You know, and now Bianca, they'll take the dog on and really make a huge change in the dog. And so, I don't know why. Sometimes I think it's because I talk harder and rougher and taller. I always have a hat on, you know, and some mornings I'm a jerk. Maybe they don't like it. But I don't see you being that way with the dog. Me, yeah, not the dogs. The dogs, you're always nice. Me, you'll avoid me sometimes and go around the corner. And
Gotta get a dog out.
yeah,
Real busy.
when I see you, I'm just like, okay, go ahead. I know you don't want to talk to me today. But it is fun. It's fun for me to see the differences with our dog business since we started. And I still say it's because of you, because you're the one bringing customers in. And I'm the one that normally gets bit. So I try to protect her from being bit, and I've protected you since you've been there, but it won't be long. So, hey.
You got a couple more questions. Someone had asked with the gentleman that walked by, how would you respond if one of your dogs reacted poorly to that gentleman that walked by?
It wouldn't happen.
Well, I don't feel that it would happen here. If it would have happened here, it would have been only one dog, and it would have been Bodie. And it would have been Suzanne's fault. But since Suzanne and I talked this morning, I never expected it. And I told you before we left the house, I said, if Suzanne goes home and does what I said, we're not going to have a problem, dog. And that's exactly what she did. And for me, it's cool. Because it showed you that you can fix your own dog. You didn't need me. You just needed some advice. And so, if a dog would have acted up to one of his dogs for me to fix it, if Suzanne wouldn't have just fixed it, I would have just got the leashes and the dog would quit instantly. And if he wouldn't have, I'd have just touched his leash a couple times, and it would have stopped. And for me, let me see. Oh, for me, I feel that. For me, the collars that we sell, the command collars, and this is a similar collar, and we are a dealer for this company too. I just don't ever hardly sell the collars because they got a little bit more bite than the others. But for me to correct this dog, if he tried something, majority of the people take their dogs and they drag them, and me, I'll just good. And normally that's enough to fix any dog here. Well, not your dog. I'm not sure about your dog. But you've got a well-mannered dog, I can see already. So, but for these 4 dogs here, if I just touch your leash, they'll quit. Because they understand the consequences as to why. Because they're wrong. But at the same time, with these 4 dogs, if I growl at them, they'll usually quit what they're doing and go on about something else. So,
I think that's the key thing. Like, had one of the dogs made a mistake, all it would have taken was a growl, and they would have gone right back into the position they were in.
and a lot of times here, Baron, I can't speak for her so much because that's Dari's pride and joy dog. And I don't handle him very often at all. But these 3 dogs, if any one of these 3 dogs made a mistake, and even if I didn't have the leash, if the owners had the leash, and if I growled real hard, they would probably quit anyway. Just because I've handled them so much.
She's not
that-
sitting.
Huh?
He said she's not sitting.
She's not setting? Here, let me see. Watch. Watch the difference. Will set. Just touch the leash a couple times, just sit down.
And I feel like we should add, in response to that question, that the reason that it's so simple for us to fix those scenarios is because it's not just putting a pinch collar and a leash on the dog, it's all of the foundation work that you've taught to do with the dog at home, at the trainers, before you go into town and add those extra distractions. All these dogs have a foundation, which is why
They do, and that's exactly the reason we brought them here. And like I said, the only dog I expected to have an issue, if any dog did, it was Ben Bolt. And I'm impressed with how well you've done with him today. So, cool to you. Oh, let me show one more thing. I feel that a dog like Bodie. Now, I just asked him to sit, and he sat. I didn't talk to him. I just touched his leash. He sat. But I feel a lot of times one of the things that I see people do constantly with their dogs is they put so much time and effort into a dog like this to teach him to sit, stay, shut up, behave. And then the people walk off and they drag their dog. It's like, geez, for me, that's no different than me slapping Dari and then asking her what time it is. You know, it's lighter if I ask her what time it is, and I'll get a better response too. But like here, for me, to be fair with Bodie, I'd be like, Bodie, what? Good. But when I walk off Bodie, I'm going to ask Bodie to go with me and not drag him off the set. So, did you have another question you said?
Yeah. Someone said they live on the beach, the ocean, and if their dog's on leash and another dog comes off of leash, and that dog that's off the leash is barking and aggressive, but the owner's saying that dog is friendly, how do you respond?
Me, I get my dog under control and ask them to control their dog.
Right.
I will not turn and walk away with my dog. I'll try to stand my ground, have my dog to behave. And
right.
Unless the dog's just an aggressive, mean kind of dog, they will not just attack your dog. Now, if you let your dog approach your dog on tight leash, you got a lot more chance of having a dog fight. So for me, I think the biggest thing is with dogs in town is have a loose leash. Teach your dog to be on a loose leash. And if your dog is on a loose leash, you'll have so much less trouble. And it's like here, I give Bianca a leash while I go to put on her dog because we're supposed to have dogs on leashes in town, even though Baron's not. But
I'm a self-proclaimed cheater. I tell everybody that.
I know. But for me, I like to have the dogs on leashes whenever I need to, you know. And not, well, I can't say what I do because I don't take my dogs down. As you notice, I don't have one of my dogs here. Because they'd be in so much trouble, it'd be like the whole thing would be me fighting with my dog.
If there was a cow around, though, you'd be good.
Hey, if we had a cow, we'd be on it. So, do we have any more questions?
Yeah, you have one more. This is kind of a 2-for-1. What's the best strategy to transfer the control you have with your dog to another handler, particularly in a higher stimulation situation like walking in a neighborhood around other dogs and people?
You know, for me, that's such a great question to ask. And I go over this over and over and over with people. It's just like I'm sure I have with you, Suzanne, and I have with you. And maybe not you as much, but I always try to get a dog to behave. Once I do, the owner sees the dog in that situation. The owner instantly has a little bit more confidence. I'll give the owner the leash back, and I'll let them do what I just did. And the dog will be pretty good, and then he may not be so good. He'll kind of weaken a little bit. Then I'll ask for the leash back. I'll do it again, get the dog back under control. Then I'll give the leash back to the owners and let them work with the dog a little bit. And it just keeps getting better and better and better. I always felt that one of the biggest problems with dog training is somebody wants to get a dog from what they have to what I have in 30 minutes. And it just doesn't work. If you get your dog in a really good spot and you sit, lay your dog, whatever, and let him think about it for a few minutes, it makes it so much better for him. But I see people trying to teach their dogs to sit and stay at the same time, and then 2 seconds later they're trying to get their dog to do something else, catch a ball, or play frisbee, or give them a rope or whatever. And it's not fair to the dog. So for me, anytime I can get my dog doing better, give the handler the rope, the leash back, let them do better, take it back, keep going back and forth, it makes it huge. So, is that both questions?
Yep.
So, I don't know what time of the day it is.
6:40.
Holy crap, it's 40 minutes already. So we're going to be gone in like 15, so I guess we're okay. So, does anybody here have any questions? And What about your dog? It's a support dog?
Service dog.
As in?
What is he trained for?
Yes.
Jasper? He's trained as PTSD, PSD, and guidance.
Does he come to you?
Jasper, come here. Jasper, over here. Sit. Jasper, sit.
So he's just your support dog?
My service dog, yeah. He's actually gotten really bad with the whole pandemic thing, and he hasn't been able to get out as much.
You know, we have so many dogs with that issue.
Yeah. Yeah, he's lost so much. Yep. Over here. But he also, he knows that when he wears his vest,
Yeah.
so it's like, as soon as he puts the vest on, it's like he puts it on. Yeah. So when he's off his vest, he got 50-50 shot. Hey.
It's the coolest thing though to see these dogs put their vest on. and
Yeah, as soon as their vest
right
on,
to
it's like they know.
Yep. It's really impressive.
Get one of those vests.
On your service dog?
When I give it to you, bam, you listen to me.
Oh god.
That.
I'll throw it out there.
I am not wearing one of those.
You don't need to. It's her. So, for me, I'm going to talk a little bit about commands on dogs. And that's what Suzanne and I talked about this morning. And I think me and you and Kate
Back here.
were sitting up there. And we had a really nice talk. Because I feel that it was just the three of us. And we had dogs running around playing. And we had a new dog out.
Claire.
Dante. And Dante had only been out on the playground a couple times with a lot of dogs. And I feel that when I'm working with a dog, I've got 100% focus on that dog. And I feel so many times people don't have them, especially at home on the playground. Because we'll have 10 or 15 dogs, 3 or 4 people. And I feel sometimes we get talking and there's a dog that's not being seen. And not 100% of nobody's attention, not even 50% attention. But it's because the dogs do so good. But me, we had Dante out there and we didn't know him very well as far as being with a pack of dogs. And me and Suzanne was really talking and Kay about problem dogs, the problem she was having with Bodie. And for me, I was constantly focused on that dog because I didn't want him to go get himself in trouble. Because he's a big dog and I didn't want him to get his own fight. But I feel so many dogs gets confused because for me, it's like English. I speak English and you speak English. If I ask you a question, you can understand me most times. But if I say something to you, you can most of the time understand me. And I don't speak perfect English, I think. I've got a little slang in my small. But the thing is for me is whenever we as humans start talking to a dog, for some unknown reason, we expect them to understand us. And they don't understand any language. They only understand by a lot of times is a reaction to a word we say to what they do. So, for me, people tell a dog, sit down. That's 2 commands. And then they get mad because the dog won't sit. And I literally watched a gentleman at the house 6 months ago or whatever, trying to teach a dog to sit and stay. And he would say, sit, 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 4, 5, or 8 times, whatever. And he would finally get the little pup to sit. And about the time the pup sat, he would say, stay, and the pup would get up. And so he'd done this like 8 or 10 times in a row, the same thing. And I finally stopped him. I said, you know, you just created a habit that stay means get up. And he couldn't understand me. And it's repetition. You just keep being consistent with what you're doing, and dogs will understand that word by some reaction that they do or you do. So for me, if I go back to if a dog jumps on me, it's no. If he mouths on me, it's no. If a male dog tries to pee on my car tires, it's no. I mean, jumps on the couch, no. On the counters, no. And so, whatever you start things like that with a dog, they start understanding that means no. Like you just touched Bodie on the head for whining and he shut up. Because he understood it, you know. And things like that for that dog's really simple. You didn't have to hit, beat, kick, or shock your dog. But the key to it was when you touched your dog, you expected him to shut up. And he did. And that's what makes a difference. people ask me all the time, how do I get my dog off the counter? How do I get my dog off the bed? Don't let them on there. Makes life pretty simple. So whenever we get to those situations with dogs, people start having excuses. I had a lady recently, she had more excuses than I think I've ever heard on why her dog's bad. And at the same time, excuses why her dog wouldn't be good. And I told her I didn't buy none of them. I said, I'm not on board, that's you. I said, what your dog done yesterday was yesterday. We're going to go from here forward, so just forget all the bad habits and let's go forward. And I think that makes a lot of difference with dogs. When you know they're going to do something wrong, they're going to do it. So, Dari?
Yes.
That's what it is. So, what do we got new coming up?
New. We are going to be launching a weight loss program for dogs, both online, so you can have a virtual experience, or there will be some opportunities to bring your dogs in for part of it, or potentially for the entire weight loss program, if that's what suits your system the best. I see that's the next big thing that we're going to be really
And
working
we just
on.
worked with Stella.
Yep.
Right?
We had our first prototype dog. She was a little miniature Australian Shepherd, about yay tall, and she came in at 51 pounds. She was with us for 5 weeks, and she left at 41 pounds. So
She came in at 50, left at 41. She lost 9 pounds.
Oh, it was 50.1 pounds, that's right. So she lost 9 pounds, which was a huge, huge accomplishment for this girl. She still has some room to go, but her mom's going to be following up and really, really being diligent about the exercise program that we have her on. The one thing that I can't say enough is with dogs with weight loss, you don't go out and just work them and work them and work them hard. You're going to end up giving them potentially all kinds of injuries. It's more about a low, slow, and consistent approach. Every dog is unique, making sure that you take everything into consideration as far as health goes. This dog was so heavy, so overweight, that we even made her go to the vet and get written permission, essentially, that she could withstand what we were going to be doing with her.
And when we started with her, I mean, I put her on a treadmill because we have treadmills for dogs, and I've ran dogs on treadmills for a long time. And it would be like minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes,
Maybe.
a half mile
30
an hour.
seconds.
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy what she could take. But when she left, she could do a mile, and like at 4.3 miles an hour, 4.4 miles an hour, she could go a mile. So it was huge for her, and she could go up in the woods and play.
Yep, she did all
And she
the
acted like
adventures.
a cool dog. And she even tried to play with dogs on the playground a few times. Which, when she got there, she would just go lay in the corner and shit and do nothing.
But also to that effect, she was somewhat aggressive to other dogs. When she started losing weight, her personality started to really, really come out, and she started to present a completely different dog than the one that first came into the kennels.
Yes.
She had a different kind of confidence, a different kind of joy. She would prance around the dog park and act
And-
silly.
You know, I feel that whenever she came in, she ate her dry dog food with canned dog food. And she had canned dog food because another dog at home had canned dog food because it was an older dog. But it got treats and, I don't know,
Cheeseburgers.
cheeseburgers, french fries. I'm not sure what all the dog got. But I think a huge part of it for us is we cut out all the junk. She only got her dry dog food. And once in a while we put bone broth on it if she didn't want to eat. Because I'm sure sometimes she didn't feel good because it was a huge change for her. But our whole thing is at facilities, we want what's best for the dog. And the dog didn't really want to eat, so we put bone broth. We didn't put a bunch of canned dog food in it and give her treats and cookies and cheeseburgers. We kept her on a roll. And by the time she left, I feel she was 10 times happier, and the owners was for sure. I mean, they were tickled with that. So, you know, check with Dari on it because I think it's good for a lot of dogs. I mean, we get a lot of overweight dogs. And now a lot of people blame it on COVID, you know, and
Walking is
because
free.
they didn't get it out. But, you know, for me, I think the treadmill is a really good way to go also for dogs. And you can run a dog on a treadmill for 10, 15 minutes, and it's a huge difference for them. And it's, you can do consistent or not. With Stella, sometimes I'd have her at 4 mile an hour, and next time I'd have her at 1 mile an hour, 2 minutes later, and I just keep changing it up so I make it better for her. And then now we have our leashes. I don't have one. I let Bianca use mine. But we have our leashes that we sell, And we have our own personal leashes next week. I think they're supposed to be here. And we're going to have the Marvin Pierce Dog Teacher logos on them. And it's the leashes that we have. We're a dealer for the company. They're made in Portland. And the reason we use these leashes is because, for me, it's because they have a bicycle tube back on them.
Recycled?
Yes, recycled. And they're really easy to use. They're easy on your hands. They're comfortable. They don't slip in your hands. And they're made by Cycle Dogs in Portland. And like I said, we're a dealer. They got a really good snap on them. They got a good handle. They got a beer opener if you want to drink a beer while you're walking your dog. I actually used one up there. They did up there for opening an orange soda.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's pretty cool. She was looking around for a bottle opener. I said, well, I'll just grab one of your leashes. So, but they are a nice leash. They're a 6-foot leash, and they're the ones we use, and they come in a zillion and one different colors and styles. Ours, like I said, we'll have our logos on them. I haven't seen one yet, but hopefully next week we'll have some in the store at the kennel. So, do we got any more questions? So, we want to bust out of here. Anything else? Jan, got anything on that? Suzanne, I know you want to. You?
No, I'm happy to take her home.
So you want to tell us how happy you are with your dog while you're here?
Take her home. She's doing great. She had some trauma in regards to dog fights that another dog that we had, but she's doing great.
And she's been super good at the house. I think she's going to be great for you now. And if not, just make sure you come up on Saturdays and do release dogs. So, all right, everybody. Well, we want to thank you for showing up. And if anybody got an idea where they'd like to see us at sometime, get a hold of Dari and let her know, and we'll see what we can do. Thanks a lot. Have a good evening.
Bye, everyone.